Welcome back to Sir Francis Online Tuition. In the previous video, I explained to you what is meant by prepaid expenses appearing at the beginning of an accounting year and how it is treated in our books. So for this particular video, I'm going to show you how to use the T account to treat an expenses prepaid appearing at the beginning of an accounting year. Okay, so we are considering example 1.3. If you don't have the question, pause the video, copy it somewhere so that you can try your hands on it. The question says that the following data was an extract from the books of Odum Business Consult for 2010. Insurance paid was 40,000. Insurance prepaid at 1st January 2010 was 5,000. So let's see how we can use the T account. Let's go to my workings. I have my workings here. I believe you know how to open a T account. If you don't know how to do that, go back to the channel. There's a video on how to open an account. Go and watch that. Okay, so here we have our account being set here nicely. We have the debit side, we have the credit side, we have the currency being indicated. Okay, let's go back to the question and see how we can do that. Okay, so we said insurance paid was 40,000. So how do you record this transaction? Using the double entry principle. Expenses paid, here the mode of payment was not specified, so you can choose either bank or cash. I'll go by cash. Okay, so we paid insurance by cash, 40,000. Your cash is reducing according to the double entry principle. You have to credit your cash account, then you debit your corresponding account, which is the insurance. Insurance is increasing, so you have to debit it. Your expenses is increasing. All expenses, they have debit balance, so whenever they are increasing, you have to debit the account. The moment you pay, or the moment an expenses is being incurred, that expenses is increasing, so you have to debit that relevant expenses account. So here insurance is being paid for, it is increasing, so what we have to do is to debit it. Okay, so we are debiting in the name of cash. So we have the year here, 2010. The entry, that account that is being affected by the transaction is cash, 40,000. You have to know that. Okay, so 40,000. We've recorded it nicely at the debit side of the accounts. So let's go back if there is something that I have to do again. And it said insurance prepaid at 1st January 2010 was 5,000. Okay, so as at 1st January 2010, there has been an expenses paid in advance for. Okay, this prepayment or expenses being paid in advance was made. The payment was made in the previous accounting year, which is 2009. So it was made in 2009. The moment we enter 2010, it becomes expenses paid in advance appearing at the beginning of the accounting year. So that's why you see the date 1st January. It was paid in the previous year for the current year, which is 2010. And I said expenses paid in advance in the previous year, okay, for the coming year should be added to the one that we've paid, or should be debited to that relevant expenses account, because that expenses, the benefit will be consumed, the business will consume the benefit for that expenses paid in advance in the coming year or in the current year. Okay, even though the payment was paid in the previous year, but the benefit will be consumed in the coming year or in the current year. So because it's relating to the current or the coming year, it should be added or debited to that one that we paid for that relevant expenses account. So this 5,000, because it was paid in 2009 for 2010, we have to add it to the 40,000 that we have over here, because in 2010 we paid expenses costing 40,000. Okay, we paid expenses relating to insurance costing 40,000. But before we made that payment, the business had already made payment for insurance in 2009 for 2010, which is 5,000, and it is part of the current year, or it's part of the 2010 insurance expenses. So for you to know your total expenses for insurance in 2010, then we should add the one that was paid in advance in 2009 to the one that we paid in 2010. Okay, so in 2010 we actually paid 40,000, but in the previous year, which is 2009, we made an advance payment for insurance. Okay, even though the benefits will be consumed in this particular year, which is 2010, but the payment was made in the year 2009. That's why it is an expenses paid in advance. Okay, benefit is yet to be consumed, but payments have been made for. Okay, so expenses paid in advance appearing at the beginning of an accounting year should be added to the one that we've paid for in that particular year that we are dealing with. So in 2010 we had already made payment for insurance in 2009 for 2010, and we actually made 40,000 payments in 2010. So for you to know the total expenses relating to insurance for 2010, then we add the one that we paid in 2009 to the one that we paid in 2010 to get the total expenses. So how do you do that? You have to debit it. So we have the year here, 2010. Okay, so here I made a mistake. You have to the open entry should be done first. Okay, so here you have to do the open entry. So here we have 2010 balance brought forward. Okay, expenses prepaid. Okay, you can write something like this: prepaid brought forward. Okay, so it was paid in the previous year, but it is in our books for 2010. So here the amount is 5,000. So don't forget that the first entry should be done first. Now in the course of the year we made another payment for insurance. So here cash, we made that payment by cash. So we have it here, which is 40,000. Okay, so the total becomes, the balance of the account, we are done with the entry, so it will be 45,000. I believe you know how to balance off an account. If you don't know how to do that, go back to the channel once again and watch my previous video. I've done that in those previous videos. So here the difference will be P and L. So because we are taking it to the profit and loss account. Okay, so this is the amount that will be taken to the profit and loss account as insurance. Okay, because in the profit and loss account, that's where we will sum up all our expenses together. We take it from our revenue for the year, we get our net profit. So this is how we can record this transaction, or this is how we can use the T account to treat an expenses prepaid appearing at the beginning of an accounting year, how to balance the account off and take the difference to profit and loss account. If you still don't get it, leave it in the comment section and I'll attend to you. Share my videos, comment on them so that I can make and improve videos. Thank you once again, and see you in the upcoming video where I'll be teaching you how to use the T account to treat an expenses paid in advance appearing at the end of an accounting year, and the meaning of expenses paid in advance appearing at the end of an accounting year. Goodbye.